Good morning, good afternoon, and good day to everybody, and welcome back to the Jesus Disciple Bible Study. Still seeing how the name fits. We may end up even changing the channel if it fits long enough, okay? But today we're in Genesis chapter 29, and today it kind of talks about how Jacob arrives and he takes his wife, and he finds it's kind of interesting, he actually finds two wives. So stick around to the end because you're going to want to hear this. Genesis is starting to get spicy, okay? There's a lot of drama going on, so if you like drama, you're going to enjoy this chapter of the Bible as well, okay? And the cool thing about this is it's all like it all actually happened, right? Like all of this stuff actually happened. Like this is like documented timeline of what happened, when it happened, why it happened, and how it happened. Okay, so in a way, this is the coolest history book ever written. Okay, the Bible, I mean. So hear me out, and here we go. Genesis chapter 29, verse 1. Then Jacob went on his journey, and came into a land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of the well they watered the flocks. And a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And thither were all the flocks gathered. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in his place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither it is time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, We cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together, until they rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. And while yet he spake with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. Rachel's going to be his wife, just stick with me. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. And Jacob went near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice and wept. Now when it says Jacob kissed Rachel, I don't think it means that they just stopped and started making out in the middle of nowhere for no reason. I think when he saw her, it was like in other cultures, you know how like you'll see people in movies run up and like kiss people on both cheeks, like mwah, mwah. I think that's what they did. I think that's kind of how it is. You'll see that in the next chapter also, that her father comes and says kisses Jacob as well. I don't think these guys are just stopping in the middle of just random daylight greeting each other to make out. So I believe when it says that they kissed them, I believe that was a form of greeting back in the day for them. Okay. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. This is where it starts to get juicy. Okay, I want to address something first before we go deeper into this. It seems like when it's... Okay, so it says that this is his father's mother's son. So this is his uncle, right? And he's about to marry his cousin, or in this case, his cousins, because it's his father's mother's brother, or father mother's son, so his father's brother, his daughters. I just want to address that. I guess back in the day, it's just kind of how they did their culture, but what I like to focus on is the lessons that we're going to learn from this, and not the actual fact that they're marrying their cousins here. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way. All right, verse 13. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him in the space of a month. And Laban said unto Jacob, Because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? And Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel. And he said, I will serve these 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee, than I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for he loved her for the love he had to her. And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in, unto her. And Laban gathered together all men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Laban gave his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for a handmaid. So back in the day, I guess it was culture to if a daughter of yours was getting married, you would also give her one of your handmaid or one of your maids to be her handmaid, because she was getting married, so the handmaid would help her with daily tasks. Okay? Where we at? Okay. Verse 25. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? Yeah, beguiled me. And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve me with yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week, and gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave Rachel his daughter, Bilhah his handmaid, to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet another 7 years. Okay, there's one more section after this, and it actually gets really interesting from Leah's part. But could you imagine that you're in love with this one girl, right? And you tell her father, I'm going to work for you for 7 years, making no other money other than the fact that when the 7 years are up, you're going to give me your daughter so that I can marry her, okay? Literally working for his wife's hand, okay? He worked 7 years for his uncle. And next thing you know, he's like, you know what? Tradition in our country isn't that I give you my youngest daughter. He said I'll give you my eldest daughter. And then what we're going to do is you're going to work another 7 years for me. And then I'll give you Rachel. What? In a way, it sounds like he gave him Rachel to wife, and then he said, now you just owe me another 7 years of work, and that's what ends up happening. But I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine being like, I want to marry that person. Now you got to marry this person just because it's their tradition. So you can imagine Jacob probably wasn't really pleased with this, and that you'll see later on, it even says in the next verse that he loved Rachel much more. And so he probably neglected Leah and all that good stuff. But apparently he didn't neglect her a whole lot, as we're about to find out in the next chapter. So, next section. So here we go. Let's get into that. Verse 31. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. The Lord didn't like what Jacob was doing either. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, Surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Now I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing. That is the end of Genesis chapter 29. I read part of Genesis chapter 30 as I was finishing that up. And let me tell you, it gets juicy. In the next chapter, we're going to read about how Rachel actually is so jealous of Leah that she gets her handmaid to have children with her husband so that she can say that she gave Jacob children. I'm sure it gets much more juicy than that in the next chapter. Please stick around. If you like this type of stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe, as it does help push the channel out to more and more people. Thank you guys. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.